Hello, Music 143 online. I miss seeing you in person, but I hope you are having a healthy, safe, and happy day, seeing tulips and daffodils and getting to start a new concept in music theory, non-chord tones. So if you'll get your text, sit yourself in front of your keyboard, piano, and feel free to stop and start as you need as we go through these. This is your time. So page 185 in the text is chapter 12, non-chord tones. A non-chord tone, affectionately called an NCT, is a note that is not a member of the chord, just the way you would expect. Okay? So there's an example in 12-1, the Schubert, and just so you realize that theory is certainly cumulative, I would like you to sing it on sol fa. If I can sing it in front of you, I know you can sing it on your own. So give yourself an F. Sing your F sol fa first. Do, mi, sol, mi, do, so, do. And now here we go. But first, I think we should do the rhythm. Okay? So, 1, 2, and if you'll clap with me. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and a 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. Now let's put the voice with it. Ready? And do, do, mi, fa, sol, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, mi. How did you do? Hopefully good. You can always go back and try it again. Now let's notice in the first measure, the voice part is just on an F, belongs to the chord. But in the second measure that the voice sings, measure 3, there's a B flat that does not belong in the F chord. It's in parentheses here, but sometimes you'll have to decide. You analyze your chords, and as you go, you find non-chord tones and analyze them as well. Here, a parentheses shows us that it's not in the chord. In measure 5, we've changed to a 5/7 chord, C, E, G, B flat, but in the vocal part there's an A, that's not in the chord. In the next measure, there's a D, that's also not part of the chord. And then it goes back to the F chord. You can see that if the NCTs were left out, it would be pretty bland. They're really important, really special notes in music. So let's look at them a little more closely on page 186. I think the way I'd like to do it is have you play with me example 12-2, and we'll look at these one by one. It'll make more sense of the chart up above. Okay? So the first one is passing. You see up in the chart above it says approach by step, left by step in the same direction. So we play the chord. We're talking about one voice here, by the way. One voice of the chord. Here, the upper voice. It steps down and then steps down again into the next chord. Okay? Number 2, the neighbor tone, abbreviated just a little n, is approached by step and then left by step in the opposite direction. It could go down, could go up, but it changes direction. Suspension, let's talk about that. This is the third one. I have a chord, then I'm kept in suspense with that top voice. It resolves after the rest of the chord. What if it resolves going up? Then it's called a retardation, abbreviated little r. Okay, the next pair is appoggiatura and escape. Let's look at appoggiatura. goes by step, it goes by leap, and then down by step. Generally up and then down, could be down and then up. The opposite is an escape, where you can see it's approach by step, and it's left by step in the opposite direction. Okay? Do you see how we're linking the chart with the example here? Now let's look at the neighbor group. It says up above, see the neighbor group. Well, it's an upper neighbor and a lower neighbor put together. Goes up, below, and back to the note. Then we have anticipation. Don't worry, we'll be going through all of these in greater detail. Anticipation does what it says. It anticipates a note of the new chord before the new chord happens. And then pedal, just like in your 6/4 pedal, it's a note that stays the same. So look at the E on the bottom here in this measure. So this is one way to explain them, but I think it's going to be better explained with a rabbit. This is Peter Rabbit. Yep, he's lived in our family a long time, and he's going to show you about all the non-chord tones. Okay, so we have my 2 feet, and you see the squares here. I usually do this in the theory classroom. We have nice squares on the floor. So each square is a note, okay? The note music is going across. This is a step. This is higher. This is higher, okay? So for passing, I have my left foot on a note. I put Peter Rabbit on this note, and then my right foot is going to the next note. So this is an ascending passing tone. I could, watch this, make it a descending passing tone. See that? How about a neighbor? Okay, this is a neighbor. So I go up and then back to the same note. Or Peter's going to move and become a lower neighbor right there, right? Down and back to the same note. So here's a chord, here's the next chord, and there's Peter. All right, so in a suspension, what does it say? Approach by same tone, and the left by step down, right? So here's my first chord. What you're doing when you look for a place with a suspension is you find a step down, just like I'm doing here. Okay? Now it would be like this, but then I'm going to move this over so I can put in my non-chord tone. And I stay there. I stay on the chord, the chord tone becomes a non-chord tone before it goes down to the suspension. Okay? Or it could be a retardation, where it stays on the same note before it resolves upward. So we have chord tone, non-chord tone on the same note, upward to retardation. While I'm here, this is a pedal. Easy to see. How about this one? Anticipation. I'm going with Peter to a member of the next chord before the rest of the chord happens. That's in anticipation. Okay? And then what we're left with is escape tone. And I don't know if I can reach this very well, but escape, just remember, it's as if you're jumping off a fire escape. So I step out the door and then I leap. Well, there's my foot down there. Okay, I leap down. Appoggiatura is the opposite. I leap and then I step. So we're going to have to involve another animal for the last one, the neighbor group. So we now have we're joining company now with an orangutan. Here you see a chord tone down to the lower neighbor, to the upper neighbor, and back to the chord tone. All right, the animals and I thank you for a great time. See you next time. Bye.